So we are in the second Perek and the second Mishnah. Bez Hashem, we'll get through about half of it today. Rabban Gamliel beno shel Rav Yehuda Nasi. So we're following the line of the Nisim. Rabban Gamliel, this is not the same Rabban Gamliel who was the one who founded the yeshiva in Yavne. This is his grandson, the son of Rav Yehuda Nasi, great grandson. Yafeh Talmud Torah im derech eretz she'egiat shnehem mashkachat avon. That's part one, and then part two, which seems to be the flip side, the chol Torah she'ein imam malacha, and any Torah which doesn't have malacha with it, sofo b'teilav goreret avon. So we have here quite a challenging Mishnah, especially in light of today's kind of kollel system that seems to be running in the direction of the Torah yeshivish world. But Rabban Gamliel seems to be saying that the ideal is that Talmud Torah should be with derech eretz. And I know that there are some who would explain derech eretz here in other ways, not referring to working, but I'm going to work with Rashi and Rambam and Rabbeinu Yonah, all of them on the page of what I'm working with here, the basic Mefarshim, who all three of them, all the basic Mefarshim, and also Rav Vadia Bartanura, so all the basic Mefarshim, without getting to Hasidish Maises, but all the basic Mefarshim here on the page, when they speak here about derech eretz, they're speaking here about working. Rambam says, what is derech eretz referring to? Sek b'parnasa. That's not so surprising from Rambam. Sek b'parnasa. Rashi says, uv'schora lehit parnes. And also Rabbeinu Yonah says, rotzelo mar melacha ki derech eretz pamim hu kamashma'o, which is good character traits. Upamim hu melacha, sometimes melacha, and you can always tell from the context. So we're going to be going with the pshat of the Mefarshim here, that it's yafeh to have Talmud Torah with derech eretz, because only when you have toil, yegi'ah, in shnehem, it is the mashkachat avon. And then there's a flip side, which is a little more severe, which is, and if you try and not listen to this advice, rather you try and learn Torah without working, without malacha, then sofo b'teilah, all that Torah will be cancelled. It's bittul Torah. It's bittul Torah. What's the definition of bittul Torah? When you learn all day and you don't work. That's called bittul Torah. A harsh statement, Rabban Gamliel. And not only is that bittul Torah, but furthermore, it's goreret avon. It brings further sin. So we don't even need a question here, but just what is it saying? Is it saying that it's a bad thing for a person to devote himself just to learning Torah? Should a person be learning Torah all day and that's an evil thing for him to do? It's going to cause him sin. It's a bad thing. It itself is bittul Torah and it's going to cause more sin. So question number one we're asking is just the pshat on the Mishnah. Is it really true that a person is not directed to learn Torah without working? Does everybody have to be working? Is that the direction? And we do see that many Tanaim work. We see the Rambam work. We see the Ramban work. In modern day times, we see the Chafetz Chaim work. We see the Gedolim. There were many Gedolim who did have a profession, but there were equally many Gedolim who didn't have a profession. It doesn't seem like every one of the Gedolim had a profession in order to fulfill the statement of Rabban Gamliel. So the first statement, just on a pshat level, is it true according to the pshat that everyone who is a Talmid Chacham, who is learning Torah, has to, as well as that, ensure that he has a profession as well? Question number two, which is a diuk that many make, Rabbeinu Tam is probably the first one who makes it, but also the Maharal speaks about it at length, is when it says A is with B, then B is the main thing, and A is the tafel thing. So the way you read the phrase is, Yafet Talmud Torah im derech eretz, meaning derech eretz is the main thing. That's from a grammatical perspective. Derech eretz is the main thing. And it's also nice to have Torah. It's nice. It's also sweet. It's cute. Why not have Torah together with the derech eretz? That's the question that Rabbeinu Tam already asks. And Rabbeinu Tam says, yes, derech eretz is the ikar. He answers in that way. And many of the Rishonim are against him on that. But the Maharal takes it to a deeper level. So that's question number two. Why does it say im derech eretz, implying the word im means that derech eretz is the main thing and Torah is the secondary thing, which seems to go against many statements of Chazal, Talmud Torah keneged kulam, that the Torah is the main primary thing. Question number three. We have to understand what is it that you need to be doing of yegiah. How does yegiah work? How is it that you put an effort in these two things and it cancels? And if you're just going to tell me that, which we're going to look at now, that it just means you have to put an effort in something and then let's say, what is the question number 3? What does Yigia mean? And then we'll go through 2 of the Meforshim who are on a more pshat level. We'll ask questions on them, and then this question number 3 will be much stronger. So, how does it work that Yigia, that putting in effort, cancels sin? Mashkachat avon, forgets the concept of sin. How does that work? So there's 3 ways of understanding this. The most pshat way, the simple way, is Rashi's way. Rashi says, if you don't have money, then you're going to be trying to learn, but you'll be distracted by the fact that you don't have a livelihood. And then eventually that concept will make you desire money even more, because someone who doesn't have money has a thirst for money, has a craving for money. And then eventually it will lead a person to go and steal. It will lead a person to do Averos. So according to Rashi's interpretation, there's really nothing about the Yigia that's important. Meaning Rashi's not medaik so much in the word Yigia. But rather, if a person doesn't have money, that's what it really means. According to Rashi, derech eretz doesn't mean you have to work. Malacha doesn't mean you have to work. If you happen to have a big Yerusha, if you happen to have a great father-in-law who supports you for many years, then you're fine, you're sorted, everything is okay. You can ignore this rest of this Mishnah. Because according to Rashi, the only issue we need in this Mishnah is, really, of course, you should be learning all day and all night. And that's the ikar. That's the only ikar. So it's not going to work if you don't have any money. This interpretation of Rashi doesn't explain the dik of the im derech eretz, because according to Rashi's way, Torah is still the ikar. And derech eretz, the malacha, really is not so important as an ikaron, as a principle. Just you need to have parnasa. If we would stop at Rashi, then if you would be rich, if you would have lots of money, that would be the end. You wouldn't need to work. There would be no inherent investment in working. But Rabbeinu Yonah takes us a step deeper. Rabbeinu Yonah's medaik also in the word Yegia. And it does say Yegia. It doesn't just say you have to have money. So Rabbeinu Yonah says the following. It's not an issue of having money. And in theory, even if a person would have money, he would still have to work. Why? Because Habatala goreret kama avonot v'ra'a rabba. Just not doing anything leads to lots of evil. Because if a person is batel, then he doesn't train himself to put in effort and put in effort to work. He always looks for things to come to him for free. And he's always looking to look good in the eyes of people who could give him more gifts, because he doesn't have a value and appreciation of what money really is. And then he could come to do other bad things. According to Rabbeinu Yonah, therefore, there's an inherent value in the working aspect, because the working aspect invests you in something of meaning, invests you in something of value. He says it even further. He mateshet kocho shel adam. The Torah is mateshet kocho shel adam, and also malacha is matesh kocho shel adam. And then how could a person go and do a sin? Because they're so involved in all the Torah they're learning and all the work they're doing. So Rabbeinu Yonah takes us one step further. There's still going to be a bunch of questions on him. So according to Rabbeinu Yonah, it's not just about money, it's also about putting in effort. When you put in effort, you're so involved in Torah learning, you're so involved in the work that you do, that you don't have the mindset, you don't have the freedom of mind for sin. Like the Rambam says, a person only thinks of inappropriate things if his mind is empty. But if a person's mind is activated and thinking and he's orientated, then he's not going to think about inappropriate things. But even Rabbeinu Yonah leaves us hanging a little bit. Because according to Rabbeinu Yonah, what would happen if I would decide just to learn Torah all day? Would that be okay? That would be okay, because I'm Amel and I'm Yageya in learning Torah. I mean, assuming that I'm rich, right? Let's assume that. So we don't have Rashi's problem. If we neutralize Rashi's problem that I have money, and I just want to learn Torah all day and all night, and I'm mityageya belimud Torah, I'm learning and learning with lots of focus, lots of energy, then according to Rabbeinu Yonah, that would be okay. And on the contrary, the other side is true as well. If I don't want to learn Torah, if the whole point of this mission is just teaching you, if you don't want to come to sin, then you must invest yourself deeply in something else. Really get involved in something. Then I wouldn't have to have Torah for that. I could just be working day and night, hard working. I could go and work in agriculture, and I could work day and night. Shalom Yisrael. Take him out, please. You could just be involved in working day and night on the stock exchange, investing day and night. You don't have to learn Torah, because the principle of our Mishnah, according to Rabbeinu Yonah, is if you save yourself from sin by getting very involved in something else. And that would resolve the problem. So that doesn't answer that question really. Why do you have to be miyageya in shnehem? Because that's the diuk in the Mishnah. Yigiyat shnehem mashkachat avon. You have to be involved in both of them. It sounds like the pshat of the Mishnah is you have to both be involved in Torah and be involved in the physical world. And you need them both. Without them both, it's not going to be successful. Rashi's way doesn't have that diuk, and Rabbeinu Yonah's way doesn't have that diuk either. Okay. A further question that you could ask also on Rabbeinu Yonah's way is a person never allowed to rest? Meaning, what we're saying here is, as long as you're involved in learning, you're safe. If you get involved in parnasa, you're safe. And on Shabbos, if you're not working and you take a break from learning, then watch out, the Yetzer Hara is going to come and get you now. Because it's only about when you're actively involved in the working and in the tircha, in the yageya. Okay. Today, the guide who's going to help us understand the deeper understanding of this Mishnah is the Maharal. The Maharal speaks at length about this idea. He ties this Mishnah and the next Mishnah together, and he has a whole Mahalach. This Mishnah and the second part of the Mishnah and the next Mishnah, he ties the whole thing together. But we're just going to focus on the first half now. And we're going to say it like this. It's going to be a lot of introductions to get to the Yesod, but it's worth it. There's a Christian view that there's a body against the soul. And that essentially you are your soul, and your body is evil, and it's in the way, and it's annoying. And the goal really is just to be a soul. And sometimes, unfortunately, also in Yiddishkeit, you hear people saying this view. You're not your body, you're just your soul. Focus just on your neshama, and just to ignore the body. That's not who you are. That's not part of what you are. Your body is just your clothing, but you are your neshama. And taken to an extreme, that view is extremely inappropriate. From a Christian perspective, the body is a mistake in a way, or it's a necessary evil that you need to live with. And whatever you can do to push it down, ideally don't get married, ideally don't eat good food, whatever you can do, that's the best ideal, and work towards spirituality. And Lamaisa, it doesn't work because it's not a true reflection of how HaKadosh Baruch Hu made it. But from a Torah perspective, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a body and a soul, not that one is good and one is bad. Rather, it's a compound that works together as one unit. Each one has a different role. You could say that one is higher and one is lower, but they're both good, and they work together as a compound towards the service of Hashem. Now, only if you use them both and work with them both are you going to be able to serve Hashem on the full level. So put that point in the bank from him. Now I want to say another point. Sometimes you have things which have different levels, a lower level and a higher level. And we have this immature perspective of, I only want the best. I'll give you a very, very simple example. You come to yeshiva and you immediately determine which is the highest level shir. I only want to be in the highest level shir. Is that a true reflection of how you build yourself? Is that what you did in school as well? Did you go straight to grade 12? No, you went through the different grades, because just because something is the highest, it doesn't mean that's the starting point. Now, it seems obvious to us when we speak about school, right? That just because the grade 12 is the highest grade, you don't start from there. Obviously, you start from grade 1. But it's not so obvious to us in other areas. A person may say, I only want to learn lishma. So from the beginning, I'm going to do lishma. But Chazal tell us, La'olam yilmad adam shelo lishma. You have to learn lo lishma. That's the only way you can get to lishma. So a mature perspective is, I recognize there are different levels. I recognize that. And I know I want to get to the highest level, but I'm also aware that in order to get to the highest level, I have to go via lower levels. Not that there's anything bad with a lower level, it's just a starting point. And then I can work my way up to get to the higher level. Because that was point number 2. Now let's tie those 2 points together. There's a concept of derech eretz kadma leTorah. Derech eretz comes before Torah. Does that mean that derech eretz is a greater value because it comes first? No, not at all. Not at all. It comes first because it's a starting point. It's a more basic point. which you need as a stepping stone to get to the higher point. That doesn't mean it's a higher value. It just means that it's a necessary step. It doesn't mean it's evil either. It's not evil. It's a good thing, and it's a lower thing, and it's a starting point to get to a higher level. So we're going to answer the question now about the word im. When the Mishnah says, Yafeh Talmud Torah im derech eretz, so really Talmud Torah is secondary, not secondary in that it's lower. No, not at all. Of course, derech eretz is lower, but it's secondary in the order that you have to build. Derech eretz, and we're referring here to working, not just midas. Derech eretz, meaning having a work ethic and being willing to invest in this world, about elements of this world and aspects of this world, and take responsibility for one's physical self, that's the primary point. It doesn't mean it's the highest point. Maybe Torah is higher, but you're only going to be able to get to a high level of Torah when you have the primary stage of derech eretz. So we've answered that question. What is the word im? The word im is when you have a solid basis of the derech eretz, which is like the body, which is the lower, but not evil, good, just a starting point, then you're able to get to the second stage of the Torah. I'm going to take this idea further. Personal story about myself. I did the last 2 years of school, which in England are called A-levels. And I worked extremely hard for them. Very, very hard. I invested a lot of time and energy into the last 2 years of school. It's not like America where you do some small exam somewhere at the beginning of grade 12, and then you have freedom for the rest of the year. It's a build up and build up and build up of 2 years of learning and a 1 3-hour exam. After 2 years of learning, all towards the one, there were a few like that, but like in one subject. Now, I came to yeshiva and never, ever, ever in my life have had 1 day of usage of my A-levels. Never once have I ever needed them, ever. So really, I could have left school at 16 and come straight to yeshiva and learned so much more. Would that have been a good move for me? So externally, yes, I could have learned more Torah. But actually what happened in those 2 years is that I learned to devote myself to studies. I learned methods of study, and I learned a work ethic, which I was so devoted to my studies that when I came to yeshiva, it was so natural to me to be a masmid and invest myself in learning that I'd already built that side of myself. If I would have come age 16, I would not have had that investment in the derech eretz and the work ethic to be able to then go and invest myself. I would like to think that I would have, but knowing who I was at age 16, it's very unlikely that would have happened. So there's a basic stage which comes first, which we're calling derech eretz, which is a work ethic, which is one taking care of themselves, which has to come as a primary stage before we get to the Talmud Torah. Now I want to take it a little deeper. See, the way we learned until now, Rashi's way and then deeper Rabbeinu Yonah's way, either way it seems like work is a mistake or a problem that we have to somehow resolve. You have a Yetzer Hara, how can you resolve it? Oh, go work. According to Rashi, you have a problem, you don't have money. Okay, how do you resolve that? Go work. According to Rabbeinu Yonah, you have a different problem that you have a Yetzer Hara. How do you resolve that? Go work. But isn't there a God here? Didn't he make us with a Yetzer Hara? So let's go back and say, it's not that the Yetzer Hara exists and it's a problem we have to learn how to resolve somehow. And this point is very deep because people often, when they come to learn Torah, they take a presumption and they work with that presumption without looking for the why HaKadosh Baruch Hu does the presumption. So the way that we started was, you have a Yetzer Hara, that's just a given. Now you have a Yetzer Hara, what can you do? Work hard. Work hard. Okay, I'll work hard. What a shame I have a Yetzer Hara. Meaning, but why is that Yetzer Hara? I don't know, I never thought that deeply. I didn't go to that stage. I just took that as a given. That there's a Yetzer Hara, and now we have to solve it somehow. So here I am working away because of this annoying Yetzer Hara. To some degree, that's more like the Christian approach. That there's essential evil in the world which has no logic behind it and no purpose behind it, but you have to fight it. That's an unhealthy Torah approach. But if you're looking from a deeper perspective, you're always going to ask yourself, okay, so why did Hashem make the world in such a way that we have to work? Because we have a Yetzer Hara. So why did he make us with such a Yetzer Hara that only working can solve? You hear where we are now? Oh. So now we can get a much deeper understanding. Let's talk about motivation for a minute. And everything's going to tie in very well at the end. There are two places which essentially and deeply a man can be motivated from. And in these major categories, many other things can come in. But these are the two sources of where all motivation comes from. And they're going to parallel the 2 points that we've been speaking about until now. The lower place of motivation is pleasure seeking. Anything that's going to give me pleasure. That might be food in a permissible way. That might be a riot in a not permissible way. That might be honor or money. It might be lots of things. But it's pleasure seeking is one point that will motivate a person. Like imagine you're going for a job and they want to convince you to take the job. So they'll say to you, if you come to this job, you are going to be filthy rich. Filthy, you see already? Filthy. They're connecting it to the lowest. Filthy rich. And by some people, that's a big trigger. Whoa, rich. If you do this job, you know what perks there are? You get to travel twice a month. You get to go on this plane here, there. Whoa, you get to go out for meals with executives. I'm in. Some people, that will be a motivating factor. But that's a lower factor. There's another higher factor, which is ideals. And sometimes they go against each other. A person who works very hard for an ideal will be willing to forego a lot of physical pleasure because the ideal is what drives him. In fact, someone who's ideal orientated, if you come and tell him, you're going to get to fly and eat food and meet people, he'll be like, that's disgusting. You think that's why I would take a job? That's so base. That's pathetic. I'm looking to make a difference in the world, change the world. How am I going to contribute? Okay, that's your point. Okay, we have a relation to that too. You will be able to have a profound difference on all the clients you're going to meet. Oh, okay, now we're talking, yes. And whatever level a person works at, that's what's going to motivate them. So you have to be aware of those 2 points of motivation. Now, essentially and deeply, the one point of motivation is the motivation of the body, the pleasure seeking. The higher level motivation is the motivation of the soul, the ideal of making a difference in the world. If you want to say a very high term, tikkun ha'olam, fixing the world and making the world better. Those are 2 points of motivation, a motivation from the lower and a motivation for the higher. Now, though I just said it in an example of a job, that was pretty neutral. But also on a spiritual level, when man comes down to this world, man was made in a compound of a body and a soul together, both of which have a role of tikkun ha'olam. The soul, that's more obvious, was brought down from the higher shamayim to this world, olam and neshamot to this world, with a particular tikkun it has to do, a particular role this neshama has to fulfill in the world. And that's the world of ideals. And therefore the neshama is always looking, how can I fulfill my mission? And comes the Mishnah and gives an answer through Talmud Torah. When you learn Torah, your neshama will find its mission in the world. That's the higher way of not resolving a problem. I have a Yetzer Hara, what do I do? But rather, you were designed with a purpose. You were designed with a purpose from a higher place, and you were designed with a purpose from a lower place. Both have to be addressed. When you learn Torah, not just learn it externally, like reading and memorizing, but rather when you're mityageya in Torah, you're looking for your chelek in Torah, understanding the depth of Torah, then you fulfill your mission, you fulfill your purpose of what you were designed for from the aspect of the neshama. But as well as that, you also have an aspect of a guf. And you see that Adam HaRishon, even before the sin, was already told to come into the world la'ovda, to work. Meaning working is not something which is a b'diavad after the sin. The b'diavad after the sin was that it's very difficult. It became very, very challenging afterwards. But the core idea of man working in the world, that's something which is from Gan Eden. That's the body's role in this world. And the easiest example that I can give you of it is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made the body with a orla, without the bris milah section, with an extra section on. And he commanded us that we have to remove that section. And that's the prototype idea that Hashem made the world incomplete, the physical world, the physical body. He made the world incomplete with the mission that we have to be involved in fixing the physical world. And therefore, a person has to be physically in this world, tangible, real things, making the world better. Not just from a Torah perspective, which is the neshama's role in making the world better from a spiritual role, but also the body. The body was sent into this world to complete the creation that Hashem began. Hashem began creating the world, and he left us a portion that we will become partners with him in creating. And that's the body's role. So now let me say much, much deeper than we originally thought. A misunderstanding of this Mishnah, or a lower understanding of this Mishnah is, we have a Yetzer Hara. What can you do? There's nothing you can do about that. So the only way to resolve it is to learn Torah and to do some physical work, and that will resolve your major issue of being lacking of having a Yetzer Hara. But now it's the exact opposite. The exact opposite. You were designed with a mission. If you don't do your mission, you'll feel empty. If you aren't fulfilling your role, then the Yetzer Hara will come. The sin always looks for where there's a hollow, where there's a lack, and there he comes and attacks you. It's not that you have a Yetzer Hara, that's the starting point. No, the opposite. Rather, you have a mission, you have a role. Both your neshama has a role and your body has a role. And if both of those aspects of yourself, the compound self, are fulfilling their roles, then mishkachat avon, you can forget about sin. There won't be any room for sin to have any relevance to you, because it's not relevant, because you're fulfilling your mission. But the moment, chas v'shalom, you're not fulfilling either aspect of yourself. Either you're working in the world physically, but you're not learning Torah, then the Yetzer Hara will come to you with avodah zarah. He'll come to you with ideals. He'll come to you with philosophies. He'll come to you with shitot of why you should be doing things. Or if you are learning Torah very, very well, but you're not doing anything in the world to advance the world and fix the world, to be involved physically in building of the world, then the Yetzer Hara can't get you on the level of ideals, because yeah, you're learning Torah well there. But then he'll come and attack you on the level of food, money, all physical things, because your neshama is flying, but it's flying. It's not connected to the ground. So therefore, it'll come in with all these Yetzer Haras of the lower aspect, the Yetzer Hara of pleasure seeking. Only a person who is doing a tikkun of both of those levels is able to do it. I just thought of a mashal, which is cute. Politicians are sometimes asked very hard questions, and they need to find a way to get out of it, and they don't know how. So there's a great technique they use, which is they ask a question like this. They ask a question back like this. They say, so do you now realize that what you thought initially was true was only true according to what you initially thought, but isn't true according to what you understand now? Now, you have no idea what that means. No one has any idea what was just said. So the person who was just asked that question is trying to figure out, wait, did I originally know what I now know, what I thought I knew? And now they get so confused that what happens is there's a hollow in their mind. There's a lack in their thinking. They had a flow of thought until now. They were asking good questions, but suddenly they're just trying to figure out what was just being asked. And then with that hollow that was just made now, because they paused to try and figure out what was being said, then the politician comes back and says, oh, you don't even know what you're asking. Come on, you're worthless. And then they slap them and move on. So they're doing the same trick as the Yetzer Hara. They create a lack. They create a place of confoundedness that you don't even know what's happening. And that's where the sin can come in. But if you know where you're holding, because you're a soul and you're a body, and you're serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu on both levels, then you have a shleimus. And something which is shalem, there's no room for the Yetzer Hara to come in. It can't confound you. You're involved in both. So let's read the Mishnah. We'll conclude. So Rabban Gamliel benosh Rabbi Yehuda Nasi Omer, Yafeh Talmud Torahim derech eretz. Derech eretz has to come first. It's basic. You can't skip levels. Don't make the immature mistake of thinking that because something is higher, that means that you can just do that and skip that level. No. First comes derech eretz. You have to build yourself in the basic way first. You have to ensure that your body is being used to serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You have to ensure that you're doing mitzvahs with your body. And you have to ensure that you're taking responsibility for yourself in the world. You're doing all the roles and jobs that you have to be doing. Only then will you have a solid basis to start building a higher world. And that includes taking care of your parnasa. So that's the answer of Torah and derech eretz. And we asked, do you need Yegiya? Of course you need Yegiya, because that's the mission why you were created, to be doing tikkun ha'olam. But there's two levels of tikkun ha'olam, the higher level and the lower level. They're both good, just higher and lower. And you have to do both. Only if you do the higher level of Talmud Torah, that will fix the ideologies, and the lower, not fix, that's fulfilling your mission of ideologies, and the lower level of being involved in the physical world and fixing the world, that's fulfilling your mission as a guf, as derech eretz. And then mashkachat avon, there's no room for the sin to come in because you haven't confounded yourself. The kol Torah she'eni ma'malacha. However, if you make the tragic mistake, which some people in the Torah world make, that you can skip the level and you can just be a soul and you cannot be involved in the physical world. So as well as what Rashi is saying being true, that will awaken within you desire for physical things because you'll always feel lacking. And as well as what Rabbeinu Yonah is saying being true, which is that not only will you want physical things, but also you'll have more Yetzer Hara for those things because you're not involved in the physical world and therefore you're not toiling over something and therefore there's an openness within you. But not only that, it's Sofa B'Teila. Even the Torah yourself will be batal because you haven't built the stages. You haven't learned Torah on a solid basis. So the Torah is not connected to the world. The Torah is not grounded. It's like a candle without any oil left over. If you light a candle without oil, then the candle is extinguished because it doesn't have any grounding in this world. Hashem has angels. He doesn't need you as an angel. He needs you to be connecting the Torah to this world. So Torah itself will become batel, not just because you'll have to go out to the work world, working force, and then you won't be able to learn Torah anymore. The Torah itself won't be a grounded, rooted Torah. And not only that, but once you've made a lacking in your life, then not only is the Bittul Torah a problem, but Goreret Avon, it will lead to doing more and more sins because you're allowing yourself an openness, in this case of the base of the physical pleasures, where you will be opening sin to come in, that lacking, that confoundedness. That's an understanding based on the Maharal of Rabban Gamliel. Yeshar Koach.